Hey there and welcome back to Sim Sunday. My name is Pete and today we complete episode number 50. And for that special occasion I have something planned. First of all though, we will start the episode as usual. Chastity, who in the last episode gave birth to little Pauline, is currently on her way to the fridge and will now grab some baked angel food cake for breakfast. While she's eating, we can spend a few lifetime happiness points with her. We have over 25,000 points available and multitasker is always nice to have. Now, just a few moments later, her husband Paul is also awake and grabbing breakfast. However, in contrast to Chastity, he actually has to work today. After breakfast, Chastity can now take care of her daughter Pauline, who needs her diaper changed. And then, I mentioned it just a second ago, Paul has to work today, so let's get his fun bar up.
Epsumo movie?
Sagaboo.
With a maxed out fun bar and not long until the carpool arrives, Paul will now take a shower, while Chastity can learn a new song on the guitar. After his shower, Paul will head outside and spend the rest of the morning until he has to go to work with the charisma skill book. Inside the house we can see Ahisha has also gotten up and grabbed breakfast, and as you can see on the top left of your screen, now that she's done with that, she has a nice long day of collecting ahead of her. And now it is also time for Paul to leave for work. He should be able to level up the charisma skill pretty soon, but for now duty calls. So here we go, off to City Hall and right into another day of working hard. At home, Chastity finishes with the guitar and can now once again take care of her daughter. With little Pauline fed and played with, we can put her back in the crib and have Chastity leave. Where to is not much of a secret, we will of course once again play for tips outside of the restaurant. As we can see in the guitar skill journal, Chastity has earned over 20,000 simoleons in tips, so that means we need only 5,000 more to complete the Moneymaker skill challenge. And now the last person of the household is awake in Patrick, and he will begin his day outside. First of all, he can grab the mail. Ahisha has sent away lots of stuff in the last episode, and we can now sell that for a nice profit. Alright, and with 15,000 simoleons more in our account and everyone except for Pauline outside of the house, we can now begin building again. I thought for episode 50 we could take the house to the next level, and so let's get started by emptying the bedroom of Patrick and Ahisha. And once that's done, let's get rid of the wall too. The first thing we're going to create is a nice dining room area. For that we will purchase the extra long dining table and put it right in the middle of what was once a bedroom. Of course we will switch it up a bit in creator style. And for the chairs we will keep what we already have, but add 2 more so that now 6 people could in theory sit around the table. And the old table will go into the family inventory for now. Now it's time to match our dining room area to the rest of the house, so let's give it the same wall and floor textures that the rest of the room already has. In terms of lighting, we will go with what we had above the dining table before. I think that fits the overall style pretty well. To decorate the area, we will use 2 pictures that are already inside of the house, but in places where we don't really need them anyway. Then we can put the first item from the family inventory back, some flowers in the middle of the table, always nice to have. Up next, a rug for only 140 simoleons. We can spice things up with that. And color-wise, I decided for a fiery red surrounded by a dark black. Red will be the color to kind of accentuate things here, and for that reason we will also switch up the curtains. And now we will have a look at the kitchen. The kitchen currently looks like it has been more or less randomly assembled, and with the dining table gone, we now have the space to change that and also add a bit of stuff. We'll have the garbage disposal right next to the fridge, the ingredient eviscerator and the microwave are also close by. Then comes the stove with a free work surface right next to it. The dishwasher is then closer to the dining table where we actually produce dirty dishes. And then comes the food replicator, followed by a still empty kitchen counter, which serves as the end point. And right now I'm going through Creative Style to make all of these things fit together a bit more nicely. Lovely, now we can remove the certificates that have nothing to do with cooking whatsoever, put the fire alarm back where it belongs, and then grab Patrick's actual cooking certificate and place it right next to the fridge. A bit of decoration can't hurt, so I decided to go with the hanging pot rack over in the corner here. And then I actually switched the ingredient eviscerator to the right side of the stove, so now we not only have an empty surface right next to the fridge, but we can also put a few spoons and stuff where they're probably needed most. Then let's drag the cooking certificate one spot over to the left and then illuminate the area by copying the ceiling lamp that we have above the dresser. Up next, something that is not allowed to miss in any good household, some kitchen towels. They go right next to the microwave. And a bit of natural light would of course also be nice, so let's put 2 more windows to the left and right of the food replicator. I won't go with any curtains for these because I don't really think that fits in the kitchen. On the last empty counter, we can then put another flower from the family inventory. I honestly have no idea how all of them got there. Same goes for a few of the paintings in there, but hey, I'll gladly take it. The 2 flowers from the inventory here can go right next to the windows in the dining room area. And then the last thing in this area, to not forget time while cooking or eating, a clock on the wall. And with that, we have taken care of part 1 of the house upgrade. For part 2, we have to clear the garden on the right side first. And now that we have space to build, we will build a nice half octagon with the diagonal sides 1 tile longer than the others. And from the end of that half octagon, we will make the turn back to the original house. Lovely, this is now the foundation for a pretty nicely sized upgrade. And to get started with that, we have to put the wall coverings up first. And the corners of the octagon will not see any special treatment here, mostly because we won't see them anyway in the end. And we won't see them anyway because the front right here will get 3 huge windows. And that should create a nice winter garden feel. And then to separate that winter garden-ish room from the rest of the house, we will use a wall here, but we're not going to separate it entirely. Instead, we're using a doorway arch as the entrance. Then we can quickly line out 2 more rooms in the back, one 4x4 tiles, the other one 4x5. Up next, it's time to clear the wall between the old and the new part of the house, because we're leaving that up, but let's put another archway in there. This once again creates a nice feeling of separation while not entirely closing things off. And we can of course again match the overall style here to the rest of the house. Now, by moving away one of the desks, we have a bit of space over in the corner here, so let's use that space to put the bookshelf there. That had to go from its original place because we overhauled the kitchen. And then we can decorate it with a plant and a lamp from the family inventory. Now it is time to focus on the 2 rooms on top. And to get started, we will match the style of Paul's and Chastity's bedroom. Now that smaller 4x4 room is going to be the one for Pauline, and we're changing the wall color to a nice bright purple. Not because Pauline is a girl and I want to fulfill some kind of stereotype here, but because we have pretty much used all of the other colors. We will give the room a nice big bright window, of course with the curtains to match. We should probably also put a door down here, luckily we still have one in the family inventory. And let's do the same for the room right next to it. Then we can hang one painting back to what I believe was its original spot, and then let's go to work on what's going to be Pauline's room. We still have a bunch of children's stuff in the inventory, so let's put all of that down here. And we can also decorate the room with some child-friendly paintings. Her crib will have to wait a bit though, because with her in it, we can't move it at the moment. Now let's jump over to what was Paul's and Chastity's bedroom up until now. I would like to move Paul and Chastity over to the new part of the house to be closer to Pauline and make this right here Patrick's bedroom. And so, to give it a bit of personal style, for our gardener, fisherman and cook, we will paint the room in green. We can also hang up a picture of a nice landscape on the wall next to the door. And as an avid fisherman, Patrick should love the wall-mounted fish here as well. Time for some plants next. First of all, 2 right next to the bed. And then a whole lot hanging from the ceiling at the other end of the room. Patrick should really like to wake up to that. 2 more in the corners here. And then, because we can afford it, let's also give him a water fountain. That should help him to feel one with nature entirely. Now, moving over to what will be Paul's and Chastity's new bedroom. First things first, of course, they will need a bed. And some windows, including curtains, would probably also be nice. Then quickly back over to Patrick's room. One thing I forgot here was to add a light source, so the ceiling lamp, which has a slightly more exotic touch, should do the trick. Since we are in the bedroom of a painter, he should also get a painting, preferably one of his own. And then, because he's also a good author, how about a small home library? Yep, that looks nice, doesn't it? Now we can also take his writing reward certificate and put it in the room, and then add a CD collection, because this room also partly belongs to Chastity, who is an aspiring musician. For lighting, we will take this unused ceiling lamp, which once belonged in Patrick's bedroom, and now it is time to begin work on what I will from here on out refer to as the winter garden. To get started, of course, we will match the rest of the house's style. Then we will move in the first item, which is going to be the easel. This should give Paul a spot to paint in nice natural sunlight. The next 2 items are going to be the exercise machines. We haven't used them in a while with anyone, but Pauline will likely be the first one to do so again, so let's feature them a bit more prominently. Below the easel we can put a small rug, something that could, for example, catch drips of paint. And now we have one large area between the winter garden and the 2 rooms in the back left. First of all, we'll put the fireplace and the desk in place. And then, because the desk is the actual place of writing, let's put the writing certificate from Paul over here. From the family inventory, we can then grab this little project board here, and then move desk and certificate over one spot to the left because we want to add a lamp. Let's quickly turn night mode on. Yep, that looks very nice. Now the rest of the room is a bit empty still, but we can use it to create something of a display area. For that we will take what was formerly our dinner table and put all of the metal ingots that we had in the garage for now on top of it. Okay, I changed them up slightly, and the 4 paintings on top could in theory be the places where Aisha found all those medals. Alright, one more quick change of plans. Let's actually move the display area to the opposite corner of the room, because in this one I would like to create a small TV area. And for that to happen, apart from a TV, we of course need something to sit on. Perfect. Now some fire tools as decoration, a few magazines as well, and the painting from the family inventory to complete things. Speaking of the family inventory, we have one more painting in there that can go right here. And now let's add a roof. And here I'm still not satisfied with the end result. Now you can see me place 2 columns in front of the winter garden here. Now originally I wanted the roof to look something like this. However, that really looked off in the corners, especially here on the right side. So instead I went with a full roof that goes over the winter garden as well and is supported by the 2 columns. I do not necessarily think it looks much better, but at least it doesn't clip through walls or windows. Now with the roof on top we can see that inside we have a small lighting problem, so let's put up one more ceiling lamp right here in the middle of the room, and then from the inventory one above the fireplace and TV area. Night mode shows that we should probably also add one in Pauline's room, and the winter garden will get a bunch of lights as well. One last minor detail, because we have removed the bushes here, we can extend the pathway 1 tile further, and we can also move the teleportation pad back in the corner. Now we can place our 2 little bushes in front of the columns to kind of hide them a bit, then put the tree on the left side of the garage, and we can also put the athletic certificates that both Pete and Aisha have received in the winter garden next to the exercise machines. And now the absolute last thing, the bushes that we have removed in front of the house can now create something of a shield around the pathway leading to Pete's resting place. And that's it, welcome to the new version of the complete family house. Lots of changes have been made, so let's now jump back into the gameplay and see how the family reacts. Patrick has just finished his garden work and will now take a shower. Then clean out some bad food from the fridge. and then prepare some lunch in the upgraded kitchen. Once Patrick reaches level 10 of the cooking career, he will unlock a new unique fridge, and that should then replace the one we have right now. Alright, Patrick has prepared some perfect quality dim sum. He can now eat that, and then it's almost time to leave for work. Now he has finished eating, work starts in just 45 minutes, but he can't leave Pauline alone until somebody else comes home, so let's give him a slight boost to the fun bar until Ahisha arrives. And here she is, about to clean the kitchen counter, and a few minutes later we can teleport Patrick over to the restaurant, pass through the crowd of Chastity's fans, and have him start to work hard. Then we can jump over to Paul, whose workday has come to an end and who has once again earned himself a promotion. Now that Paul is a city council member, funding becomes a work performance factor, however one that we can very quickly take care of once he gets back home. Home is also where Ahisha still is, playing with the SimLife goggles. However, now that her fun bar is filled and Pauline needs her attention, we should give her granddaughter first priority. In the meantime, Paul has arrived and has grabbed something to eat, and while Ahisha is holding Pauline, we can move the crib and put it in Pauline's new room. And now it's time to get working on the funding. Paul has the option to either ask people, preferably good friends of his, for donations, or he can throw a fundraiser party. However, there is no rule against asking people for donations on that party, so we'll have him throw one next. Yep, that looks good. Let's send out the invitations. In the meantime, Ahisha has put Pauline back in her crib and can now begin to work from home. Over in the new dining room area, Paul has decided to spend the time until the first guests arrive with the Charisma skill book. And here they are, the first guests have arrived, so let's begin by asking Tanya Dockery, Paul's sister-in-law, for a gracious donation. Wonderful, Tanya donates 981 simoleons to the campaign fund, and we also get a wish fulfilled for Paul. Time to ask a few of the other guests. Lovely, almost 2,000 simoleons here. And slightly over 2,000 here. And with over 7,000 from Marvin Keaton, the fund grows to over 12,000 simoleons, and that already maxes out the funding requirement in the work tab. And that means we can now end the party again. And here's the kicker. If you thought the donations so far were pretty generous, then please have a look on the top right of your screen now. Almost everyone gave 5,000 or more simoleons, meaning that we at least tripled the sum that we just asked for. That should keep the funding requirement green for a few more days. Now Paul has just called the repair services because the teleportation pad broke again, and he will now spend the rest of the evening with the Charisma skill book. Then over at the restaurant, Patrick's shift has come to an end and sadly he misses out on a promotion. He just barely scratched by, and I think it actually had to do with the fact that his fun bar was not maxed out. Now he will return home, but we can stay here and quickly switch over to Chastity. She only needs 660 more simoleons and tips before she reaches 25,000 in total and completes the Moneymaker challenge. However, she is getting pretty hungry and might stop playing for that reason anytime soon. At home, Patrick has joined Paul at the dinner table, studying a very special recipe book. He is reading the recipe for ambrosia. And just a few seconds later, Paul finally reaches level 10 of the Charisma skill. Congratulations! Now only one skill challenge remains until we have that skill completed, but that's the one for telling 100 jokes, and that could take a while. Paul will now go to bed and we can jump over to Chastity, who has decided to call it a day. Well, I think in that case we'll get the remaining few simoleons in the next episode. Back at home, Chastity can now eat something and then also go to bed. Then Ahisha, who has tirelessly worked from home, can quickly take care of Pauline. At the top right corner we can see that Paul's campaign fundraiser has brought in over 57,000 simoleons, so combine that with the roughly 12,000 that we already asked for while the party was going, and we are somewhere around 70,000. Now with Pauline happy, it's also time for Ahisha to go to bed. And then at almost 3 AM, Patrick finally finishes the recipe for ambrosia. Now we only need the right ingredients and we can in theory bring back people from the dead. And after having a quick apple, Patrick will now also go to sleep. However, Paul is already awake again and ready to take care of his daughter. Well rested, he can now change Pauline's dirty diapers and then make his way over to the fridge for breakfast, but we'll leave that for the next episode. For today, I think it's time to make a cut here, and I just want to say thank you for the support over the last 50 episodes. I never thought this series would actually go this long, and I honestly don't plan to make it to episode number 100, but let's keep things in the here and now. Once again, thank you for sticking with me for 50 episodes, and here's to however many we need until we get this series finished. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers!